Why are American billionaires sending their own children to study in the Philippines? At first, it sounds impossible. After all, the United States is home to the world's top universities: Harvard, Stanford, Yale, MIT. So why would the richest families in America choose a developing country thousands of miles away as the place where their children should learn? The answer will surprise you. And by the end of this story, you'll understand that something extraordinary is happening in Philippine education, something money alone can't buy. It all began quietly, without headlines or fanfare. A few years ago, the son of a Silicon Valley billionaire enrolled at a university in the Philippines under a different name. He wanted to escape the pressure of being a billionaire's kid and experience life in a normal environment. What he discovered changed everything. He wrote home, saying that the way professors taught, the way students collaborated, and the way learning felt, all of it was different. It wasn't robotic or cutthroat like in the States. It was human. It was real. And it sparked a quiet wave of curiosity among America's elite. Soon after, more wealthy families began to notice something most people had overlooked. The Philippines was becoming one of the most innovative, adaptable, and English-proficient education hubs in Asia. But that was just the surface. The real reason billionaires began sending their kids there wasn't just about academics. It was about mindset. In the U.S., elite schools teach ambition and innovation, but they often fail to teach empathy, humility, and resilience. Billionaires realized their children could learn coding, economics, and AI anywhere, but they couldn't buy character. In the Philippines, their children found something that the West had lost: the power of community, the warmth of connection, and the lessons of struggle that breed gratitude. One billionaire's daughter from Texas enrolled at Ateneo de Manila under a student exchange program. Her parents thought it would be a one-semester cultural experience, but she stayed for 4 years. When asked why, she said, "I learned more about humanity in 1 semester here than in 12 years at private schools in America." She explained how professors didn't just grade exams. They told stories about real people, about poverty, about leadership that serves rather than rules. Her classmates came from every background imaginable: rich, poor, city kids, provincial scholars. And that mix, she said, taught her more about life than any expensive school ever could. Billionaires talk about investing in the future, but some of them realize the future doesn't just belong to the smartest. It belongs to those who can understand and connect with people. In the Philippines, their kids weren't pampered by privilege. They were humbled by reality. They shared dorms with local students, ate in crowded cafeterias, walked through streets buzzing with jeepneys, and learned to respect people from all walks of life. One American student wrote in a viral blog post, "In the Philippines, people may not have much, but they have something we lost back home. They care." That sentence struck a chord. Because in a world where success often means isolation, the Philippines was teaching the next generation of billionaires' children something priceless: that success without compassion is failure. The shift began to grow. Some of these families began investing quietly in Philippine universities, funding research labs, startup incubators, and scholarships. But not to take control, rather to support what they saw as an educational revolution. What drew them wasn't luxury. It was the balance between academic excellence and emotional intelligence. American parents noticed how Filipino professors encouraged curiosity instead of competition. They noticed that teamwork in the Philippines wasn't about winning. It was about making sure no one got left behind. That's something you don't see often in Ivy League schools. Harvard may teach you how to lead, but the Philippines teaches you how to lead with heart. That's what these billionaires wanted for their children. And it's not just about empathy. It's also about adaptability. Filipino students are known for their ability to learn fast, improvise, and solve problems creatively, traits that American CEOs often complain are disappearing in their own country. One CEO of a major tech firm admitted during a global forum, "Our children are brilliant, but fragile." The Filipino students I've met are tough, resourceful, and kind. That's a combination that makes future leaders. He wasn't exaggerating. The Philippines has quietly become one of the largest producers of English-speaking professionals in the world, doctors, engineers, educators, and software developers, many of whom are now working in global companies. American students studying there aren't just learning academics. They're learning how to thrive in a world that values flexibility, emotional intelligence, and multicultural awareness. Some American parents say it's also about perspective. Their kids grow up in luxury, often disconnected from how the world really works. In the Philippines, they see resilience firsthand. They see joy in the middle of challenges. They learn to appreciate what they have. One mother from New York said that her son changed completely after studying in Manila. He stopped complaining, she said. He started helping. He spent weekends volunteering in community programs. He learned Tagalog. He called home one night and said, "Mom, I finally understand what privilege means. It's not something to be ashamed of. It's something to use for others." That's the kind of transformation that money can't buy. And it's happening because the Philippines offers what many Western institutions can't, a holistic education of mind and heart. But there's another layer to this story, something deeper that the billionaires have noticed. The Philippines isn't just an education destination. It's becoming a cultural bridge. The country is unique, Asian in roots, Western in fluency, and global in outlook. Students there can talk about Confucian philosophy one moment and Silicon Valley startups the next. They understand East and West because they live in both worlds at once. That's a rare kind of intelligence, the kind that global leaders need. American parents saw this as a priceless advantage. In a time when the world is becoming more divided, they wanted their kids to learn how to unite, not divide. The Philippines teaches that naturally. One student who studied at the University of the Philippines said, "It's not just what you learn in class, it's what you learn from life outside." Filipinos know how to make you feel part of something bigger than yourself. That spirit of belonging is powerful. It's what makes Filipino nurses, teachers, and workers beloved all over the world. It's what's teaching the next generation of billionaires' children that true leadership is about connection, not control. Even the way Filipinos communicate impress their parents. Americans realize that Filipino English is not only fluent, but emotionally intelligent, polite, clear, adaptable. The same reason why global call centers and corporations thrive in the Philippines is now the same reason parents are trusting their children's communication skills to Filipino educators. A Harvard study even noted that students educated in bilingual environments like the Philippines show higher cognitive flexibility and empathy compared to monolingual students. So while the rest of the world was chasing technology, the Philippines was quietly mastering humanity. That's what caught the billionaires' attention. But it didn't stop at universities. American families also began enrolling their children in Philippine international schools for primary and secondary education. Schools in Manila, Cebu, and Davao started seeing a slow but steady rise in foreign enrollees, many of them children of expats or investors. These kids weren't just learning math and science. They were learning compassion, respect, and cultural awareness. Teachers would tell them stories about community heroes, disasters overcome, and the importance of family and faith. They were being shaped not just as achievers, but as people who understood struggle and gratitude. And that's what the parents wanted for their kids to grow up grounded. Because in a world of entitlement, the Philippines teaches gratitude. In a world obsessed with competition, it teaches cooperation. In a world of noise, it teaches humility. One American billionaire, whose name remains private, told an interviewer, "We send our kids to Manila because we wanted them to see the world, not rule it." He said his children came back different, more patient, more curious, more grateful. He said they now talk about helping, not just succeeding. And he laughed. "That's a kind of return on investment I never expected." The truth is, the Philippines is doing something right, something that even the richest countries can learn from. Its teachers may not always have the best facilities or the biggest salaries, but they have passion. They teach because they care. They treat students like family. They give lessons that last a lifetime. That's why even in American boardrooms, the Philippines is being talked about, not just as a place of cheap labor or outsourcing, but as a model for education that builds character. Some say this is just a trend, but others believe it's the beginning of something big, a global shift in how people see education. For too long, the world believed that only the West had the best schools. But now, the East, and especially the Philippines, is showing that education isn't about money, it's about meaning. American billionaires realized that what their children needed most wasn't another elite institution. It was perspective, purpose, and people. And in the Philippines, they found all three. Some of those students have since started their own initiatives, bridging American innovation with Filipino compassion. One group created a foundation that funds poor students in rural areas. Another founded a tech startup that hires Filipino developers and gives free digital training to public school teachers. The same children who came seeking knowledge are now giving back to the country that taught them what education really means. And that, more than anything, proves the point. Why are American billionaires sending their children to study in the Philippines? Because they've realized that the future doesn't belong to the smartest person in the room. It belongs to the one who understands people. The Philippines, with all its imperfections, teaches that lesson perfectly. It's not about prestige. It's about purpose. It's not about competition. It's about connection. In a world chasing intelligence, the Philippines teaches wisdom. In a world obsessed with success, it teaches soul. So while the rest of the world wonders why the rich would send their children to a developing country, those billionaires already know the answer. Because in the heart of the Philippines, they found something worth more than any Ivy League diploma. They found humanity.